What we're going to have today is a brief tutorial on a couple of the simpler functions of Pro Tools. Pro Tools has many applications and is a vast program you can use in many different ways. But today what we're going to go over is importing pre-made music and layering vocals on the top of those or other elements as you see fit. So we'll go ahead and start by opening Pro Tools. And when it opens, we're going to start from scratch. Okay. Now we're going to start a new session. So session should be selected here. And we'll go ahead and give it a name. The change is going to come. And we'll create it with the preset settings for bit depth, sample rate, and everything else. Most of the time when you start a session in Pro Tools in the studio, the presets will already be there for you. So you just go ahead and create the session. We'll begin, now we have a blank slate, by adding new tracks for us to either import or to record onto. So we're going to bring in a stereo track that's going to take up two tracks, one for the left, one for the right. And then we're going to drop on top of that a one set of vocals. So we'll begin by creating 3 tracks. So here we'll select 3. These are going to be audio tracks. They're set to mono, which is why the stereo will use 2 tracks. And everything else is fine, so we hit create. Now, first thing we're going to do is import in the music that we pre-recorded and we saved onto the desktop. We'll find our folder, Pro Tools Tutorial, and here's our WAV file. That's an audio file that contains the music for this track. We'll drag it on and just drop it. Now, okay, excuse you. And I'll give you a quick walkthrough a few of the basic functions. Now, for the most basic operations in Pro Tools, we're going to be using the selector tools and the tools that you'll use to move around the sounds. This will allow us to start over. You can rewind and fast forward a little bit with these. We'll have stop, the play, and the record function, which we'll come back to. Over on this side, we have the grabber tool, which will be the first tool that we're going to use. We're going to grab these 2 tracks and drag them all the way back to the beginning. There's one, and we'll grab this track. You can click and hold on it and move it wherever you like. This is also used to select an individual piece in your composition. Now, briefly, the other couple tools that you may use will be the selector tool, in which case you can select a portion of your song, and if you like, you can delete it. Undo on Pro Tools, hotkey on this Mac is Command Z, so that'll take it right back to where we had it. And a very important thing is you're gonna be liable to want to fine tune on the inside. So I'm clicking right here, the zoom option. And if you want to grab a little tiny piece of your music, now I'm highlighting just this track. If I move down, I can get this, and I hit delete, and you'll see if I click right before into this area here, I'll show the transporter where to start from. And you see just that tiny little piece got taken out. If I had selected more, we'll see more taken out, and I'll Command Z to undo that. I'm going to zoom back out using the minus over here in the corner so we can see our whole project at the same time. And I'll show you one other function. This is the trim tool, and you can use that if you start from the end or the beginning of your selection to trim off pieces. That can come in handy in a lot of different ways in the future, but what we're going to do right now is start with what we have, and we're going to add in vocals from the booth. Now, you'll see the first thing we're going to do is we're going to select the input. Now, in our studio, the input is input 1 for our microphone. Now, input 1, it needs to be armed in order for us to hear it coming through. Now, you'll see when I click arm, there's a little bit of sound. Nobody's on the microphone right now, but you can see the little air in the booth. It is live, and once it's armed, we'll come back up to record and play. But first, we're gonna set up in the booth, and then we'll come back to record. First thing we're gonna wanna do is adjust the microphone height so it's appropriate for the person performing. We want the microphone to be positioned directly in front of their mouth, and the proper proximity is 4 to 6 inches from the microphone. This is the audio interface. We want to mute the speakers anytime we make changes. And now we're going to push this button to add phantom power to the microphone so we'll have power. Now we can unmute the speakers. Next thing we want to do is get sound to the headphones. This is the headphone amp. We'll turn it on. And this is input 1, where the booth headphones are. The master volume can be adjusted, and each headphone can be adjusted individually. These other inputs are for other headphones if we want to listen from the control room. You can test it. Sound is in the headphones. So first we have to arm our track. Now that the mic is on and set up, you'll see that we have level coming through, and now we're ready to record. So once our track is armed, only the track we'd want to record. We come back up to the top, click the record button, and the recording will begin once we push play. So I'm going to go ahead and push play. Someone in the booth is ready to go, and recording has begun. And we see the recording is going. We can see the vocals popping up, and we know that we have a session in progress. Okay, so our vocals have been recorded. You'll see that our playhead is towards the end, so we're gonna go back to the beginning, take a look at how that individual in the booth sounded. Amazing. All right, so now we've recorded our first track on Pro Tools. If we want to add another track, we can set the playhead right where we want. I'm going to stop this. We can add another track, new. It'll just be an audio track, and we'll repeat our process. I'm going to disarm the original track so it won't be recorded over. We're going to choose audio input 1, set our record, and so we don't have to start from the beginning. We have our playhead set right where we click in this area, and we'll start as we start playing. You'll see that we can start playing or start recording right from that same section. So if we're ready to record, we'll hit our record button, our play, and there you are. From there, you just repeat this process track after track after track until you have as many tracks layered as you want for all the rich sound that you deserve. Thanks for watching.